Hey, you guys, it's MJ from Alta Love. How are you? So, I want to just share intuitively this morning, as it's always intuitive, it's always in the present, it's always in the flow. It's coming from a heartfelt place. So, I'm getting this sort of image of rattling cans together, which I think is representative of the disparity in our collective. I feel as though there's a lot of money concerns. We're addressing lack. We're ultimately from within the self, the source self. We're addressing disparity, conflict, and lack. Ugh, my God. Okay, so I'm just getting this piece. I've had feedback that's sort of gently triggered something in me, and it's connected to the disempowerment and enslavement and my patterns as an empath of the power I've given externally. And as I continue to withdraw and come within and just show up from the heart of what I'm here to serve from the heart, in total honoring my primary relationship, which is with me, but then allowing that to make itself manifest. And then I feedback right off of the people who engage with me, and the majority of you, I feel this benevolence and loving exchange, which is in harmony and a desired effect. And then I have also the swing, the spectrum of shining back my insecurities, my darkness, my ego shit, right? And so I'm noodling and kind of sitting with this comment, and then that's why I want to kind of like show up live and share how I'd kind of work it out. Is I Part of it is that I check in with myself when it comes to the troll and kind of negative stuff, as far as like I am aware that like I'd never go out of my way to negatively criticize somebody. I have never in my life on social media disliked somebody's post. I might skim on by, but I'm not going to go out of my way to make somebody feel bad, right? I guess that's the thing of, and there's a very, 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 very fine line when it comes to criticism, because we are taught like, oh, constructive criticism. But in my empathic opinion, majority of the time, criticism is coming from a place of lack. Criticism comes because it's triggered some kind of unworthiness, some kind of fear, some kind of feeling threatened. And so we criticize, we put down, oh God, not more of this stuff, right? And I guess I'm just sharing my vulnerability with you guys, as far as, oh man, that stuff hurts my heart. Like this will take me just like a little bit, processing for me to work it out, for me to let it go, and ultimately, here's the thing about me, the life that I live and the teachings that I endeavor to embody for humanity. It's that there ain't no out there. So I have to own that awareness within my own field, as far as like anytime I guess we're claiming to have all the answers. And it's certainly if we're like putting or like that, oh, it's not that, that's not gonna, this is how it's gonna be. And I'm like, oh, like we're still conflicted. We're still projecting answers outside of us rather than embodying the truth of our own knowing. We're still intellectualizing the process rather than living it. And that's part of the next leap, I would say, in our own evolution as a human species and our consciousness, is that we we do have to withdraw and integrate thinking that answers and I guess it's coming from that hive mind. That hive mind is so fearful and so threatened that everything's a threat. Some just like small town chica in her bedroom broadcasting out of this channel is just a big mess. That is so not useful. And I'm thinking like, oh golly, I think we're, and this is where this is self-compassion and all of the stuff that I endeavor to share and teach, because I know how useful it's been. But as an empath, it's sometimes, and it's still impacts where it's challenging. to work out the attack type of energy that comes out of people who mean well, but they're not necessarily in their heart. They're being reactive and they're making judgments. They're reacting based in judgment, but they don't even realize it's a block. They don't even realize that they're judging because the multi-layered assumption and belief programs are so entrenched. This is kind of the weird bit of all of this manifestation navigation stuff. It's that it's not as like cut and dry or black and white as sometimes when we first ingest information we just think positive and manifest all your dreams. There is absolutely that, but and this is why I talk about the karmic backlog and try to make it simple for people in accessing their emotional field, because it's been denied. And so we've got like a web. Think of like a big spider's web, and if you fall in the web you're and then you're like struggling, and before you know it you're like all tangled up in the web. And this is how I see the hive mind of mass pockets of group consciousness, is that people are like nobody's clear, but everybody's trying to pretend to be clear, and then they're all fighting in a non-clear space, right? They're all grasping to be the right one, grasping to have the answers, and we all do it. I do it too. In my little team love, in my all to love community, we align, and so we feel perfectly safe and kind of in our element, sharing the stuff between us. And yet there's still a huge kind of like a chaotic chaos and confusion energy of the grasping. And think about it naturally. If something's spinning out and like we're frightened, well, first of all, that is like, whoa, like super destabilizing. And then with the spin, everyone's sort of like grasping for dear life, like I have the answers, or oh, we have to go back to the traditional way, or we've got to go back to um or sometimes I see polarity swings in the yoga industry, like, and again, I'm so aware that the majority of stuff that we share, including this, is a reactive kind of like, we're not necessarily centered. And that's something that I can share and be honest with you guys and be vulnerable with you guys about it, is that we're all just a work in progress. So I find it absolutely fascinating. There you guys are. So legit sidestep, right? Because I just blab on forever. And you guys, oh my geez, I just love you guys. So there's John and Fifth World and Karen. And so straight up the last 2 days, and I only came across it like yesterday. I was looking through the YouTube, um, and then I saw the comments, and I was like, "Hey, how come I didn't see the comments when I was actually sharing?" So now I've just figured it out, because I realize I've been chatting and I can see people, but I'm like, "What are you guys doing? Why are you commenting?" And it's because you totally are. Oh my geez, I love you guys. Good morning, Fifth World, John Beanie, Karen, you beautiful souls. I love you beyond. You know that though, because you guys vibe it, you res with it, right? I just there's like just this weird, like oversensitive little child in me that's like, why do people like, God, people are just so harsh sometimes. And I'm like, anyway, that's just me having a bit of a wobble this morning, because I got that feedback resonance of like, oh God, shut this girl up. And I'm like, I'm sorry. But then I just come to YouTube and find my friends who are like, you're great. Who cares about those who are like, yeah. What have they ever done? And these are people we don't know from Adam. And I love, I mean, how quickly we can. Crystal Child, hello, soul family. God, guys, I love you. Oh. Ooh, interesting, Fifth World. I haven't thought of it like that, and yet there's an energy awareness. It's like sort of like the suppressive energy. I know, and I think that's why I'm feeling that pull to just keep sharing, because people, a resonant community is finally showing up for a lot of us who've been pretty isolated for most of our lifetimes. um, that now that we survived, so I'm so intuitively, I just know I never lived beyond a certain age, and so 3 years ago when I took a leap, I was like, I was super duper aware that I'd never got to this point in a human life experience. And so, and then since then, so these last three years, right? I I've had a lot of that feeling, like people that have come into my life, and then I've had to like the intuitive sword would come down, and so I'm like ironing out a lot of my naivety, um people pleasing, because it invites that energy and the agents. And like, I swear to God, my intuition was like, they've literally been placed there just to slow you down or hold you up or make you doubt, right? And what are you guys saying about the 144 and then the 644? I've definitely seen firsthand. We should talk, but you got it. Oh, beautiful. Thank you. And this is part of the sharing, and then being open to receive, right? Like your guys' presence is the feedback resonance. And like we're all functional, as in we all have a function. We're all here to serve in our highest potential for one another. But again, that don't look like nothing that how we were programmed in old paradigm that service should look like, or whatever. It like in the simplest, purest form, the only function we have is our own awakening. The only function we have is our own actualization of the potential that we feel, and can imagine. Hence, a lot of us being guided to find land, a lot of us being guided to start to pioneer this sustainable off-grid and scalable kind of, not scalable in such a way, but sustainable is the juice of life, and like the flow. So we eradicate this insanity system of endless progress, bottom line finance, profit over people, and we replace it with this infinite abundant flow resource, where it's like a sharing, supporting, everybody gets to live well. None of this fear, lack, and majority of people are suffering and dying out, right? Um, and that likes me. So you have like the agent piece and all that kind of stuff. Mm, thank you, John. But John, even just you sharing that, it's like, duh, Molly. Like we all get it, and like none of that. I mean, and we can res with each other of like, what a dork. Like, who does that? Who needs to go out of their way to make people feel shit, right? And then it's like, remember, that's the shittiness that they're vibrating. And then you're like, oh my God, nothing but the hot love, nothing but the hot love vibration for the trolls, like nothing but heart love vibration for even all the haters, because like, come on, we know, like, we know what we're doing, or like the intuition. It's like we know what we're feeling from within, right? Hi, Matthew. Welcome to Ultra Love TV. I'm actually kind of just closing down. I literally sometimes I feel like I just go live to just like have a chat with my besties, and then and then eventually I'm like, I realize that I've just blabbed on a bunch of gobbledygook in your face. um, but I'm sharing vulnerability as far as, being a sensitive and like having people comment stuff and me being like, why don't we all just love each other yet? Why do we all have to like stamp our knowingness onto each other? And yet again, empathy, it's intuitive knowing is one thing, but people, that stampy energy is just like, okay, everyone else doesn't have to be wrong for you to be right. It's that kind of divisive energy, right? Um, yay, Crystal. Oh gosh. It's okay. That's like the same for me, right? And then we get our coffees, and some of you guys might be nestling into bed. Hey, Pearl, how are you? Some of you guys might be nestled in bed. Like, I know it's like nighttime for some of you. And, yeah. And okay. So I'm just going to be like, unashamedly sharing some positive stuff, um, was just the positive feedback. One of you guys, you're not here right now, but one of you all bought like the pay per week, and they're like, "Yay! I'm really enjoying Spirituality Simplified." So I'm chuffed about that. And when you guys, FYI, some of you, so Karen, like John, some of you guys know this already, but when you guys send me like positive emails about this channel or about like any and my book or the work I promote, I use that. I use that as like, what they call it, testimonies, like testimonials of the work, because I'm a bit of a reclusive renegade over here, you guys. And this is my community, because my physical community is pretty, I'm very introvert, and I'm very like only want a small, like we're very choosy, right? Um, but you guys, as we kind of anchor in the community vibes here, I'm sure and most certain that we'll be able to meet and congregate and do things in physical. At the same time, I feel like we're still transitioning, we're still landing in like new realities, if that makes sense to some of you guys. And so it's just going to be watching, allowing, trust. I think fifth world, you mentioned the whole trust thing, huge, like surrender and just complete like dropping into like infinite trust mode, right? And then so like in coming years, maybe we'll collaborate, maybe some of us will work together, maybe, maybe all to love gets guided to land, and we all come together and start building something. I don't know, but I can see these energies. Yeah, trust, big deal, but not easy. Yeah, Luna Bell, I hear you, my friend. Androgynous Holy Spirit. Well, and this is an aspect of our own unity. Is like even the construct of gender is a divisive construct. The more I rise into my balanced state, or my unity state in my own heart field, i.e., I feel like a love beam, but very in my integrity, as in I am whole, right? Then I attract into my field men who are whole, and I realize, OMG, men and women are really exactly the same, we just have different bits. But really our heart and like our projections and our ability to get all this stuff, it's all one and the same. And so, and I'm really into just allowing that unity, then the other. It actually takes a lot of strength to be a voluntarily vulnerable person. You know what, Matthew? I appreciate that. I'm gonna take that. Uh, because I get, there's slack sometimes, I guess you could say. People misinterpret and or reject, resist, and try to push against emotionality, i.e. vulnerability. Being honest, being vulnerable, people sometimes are like, I honestly, over the years, I started, when I reflect, I swear to God, for me, what's happened is like over the years that I've encountered people and like shared some depth, I think a lot of people just get cognitive dissonance. It's like they don't know how to make sense of like what they're feeling and sensing, and so they just slam a label like she's stupid or she's a dumb. Like I had a comment recently. It wasn't published because it was held for review, but a comment of just somebody saying something like, law of attraction isn't real, you dumb ass bimbo, or something like that, and you're like, wow, like we're so angry, we're so reactive, we're so volatile that we're just sort of like spewing all of that energy all around, and yet we're not. I think that's part of why we congregate here, is that those of us who res with the heart that I'm sharing, we res because we feel that there's something more, and we for the most part have been responsible, i.e., we've been holding space and integrating our anger. Like I started to dissolve some of my biggest control and anger patterns a couple years ago. Now the difference is, it's not like I never have anger. The difference is I just and then I usually like will process anything that's underneath that. So I just don't. What I've been able to work out from within self is the fact that I just never deny the emotion, I sit with it, but I have the discipline of meditation and relaxation and awareness to hold space because for me, the awareness of that emotionality is that holy shazbot, in our culture, in the world that programmed us, we got disconnected. And then once we're disconnected, everything that we're creating from that disconnection points creates these subtle, insidious entanglement patterns. I still have them to work out from within my own field, and yet I can see the benefit of doing this emotional work. What I'm aware of is we just willpower and try to change our behavior. We're not, the behavior will just morph into something else until we uproot the energetic coding, which is inviting those vibrations into our life, i.e., in that alignment. There's an aspect that is our higher self refining us. So we just didn't. Oh my God, I really resonate with that fifth world. I was getting that the other day, like within the last couple. Precisely, exactly. So this is all this stuff about it's not, we're not, because I'm acutely aware of the denial of the feminine aspect, i.e., our emotionality and our ability to nurture and love. And then, even within the kind of systematized world of spirituality and consciousness and healing, I still, from time to time, see a lot of the kind of therapists being like, how to master and how to control the emotions. And I'm like, no, we don't want to control them. We want to get better practice at allowing them. So those of us that are more connected to the sensate body, we can allow the emotional field and be present with it because there's so much information. hmm I want to say it's all done. We're all clear. We're all good to go. But I'm getting it. Guilt. I've had a lot of guilt stuff come through, and that's all connected to some of my earliest childhood imprints around people pleasing, and then also having to be the responsible child in an environment, right? Thank you. And thank you, John. John, I like those, you guys, those comments just go so perfectly together because, John, that's what I've been having to remind myself of as well. I don't know why I said sensate body, but it's, do you know what I mean about like it's our body, our whole bodies are activate, our whole bodies are basically activated. Hence, we become the sensate. We are the biofeedback resonance. And John, so thank you for commenting there because, and then the fifth world, this is like the two vibes. I'm like, I swing between those polarities of like facing my ugliness, facing my darkness, facing the lifelong patternings of disappointment, abandonment, rejection, persecution. And yet I'm still stepping into that of, pardon me, you guys, of like, I'm practicing like being super duper thankful. So like, and we know it's uncomfortable, transform physical body transformation, and then all these old fears come up, and we're like, I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back to the past. But then I don't want to reject it either. I don't want to resist it because I know if I keep doing that, I'm never going to really rise above it. So it's like this uncomfortable mishmash of actually like energetically in the light of my awareness, actually leaning into that fear, leaning into that shame, leaning into that like I hate you, you're disgusting, you're gonna da da da, and being like, I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful. Like, I'm so thankful for poverty. I'm so thankful for dis-ease. I'm so thankful for the other so that I can be more of who I am, that I can embrace and integrate the wholeness of who I am, right? Hmm. Matthew, I gotta say, like that's something, and I feel sometimes really foolish, in fact, with it. That I'm gonna be 37 this year, and like it's only in the last like 2 to 3 years even that I've untangled some pretty toxic and I would say like abusive, emotionally and mentally abusive relationships out of my empathic naivety, obviously, which I'm more deepening my understanding. But I'm somebody who's always been like pretty much in on the path as an adult anyway, where I have these awakenings and I'm just a bit like, guys, what the fuck are we doing? And then all these years later, here I am still just on that path of sharing these perspective insights with you. And what the weird, sad state of affairs as an adult in this world is that It's like people are like laugh at me when I share about these insights recently. I'm like, yeah, people lie to you to get stuff from you, and we're like, yeah. But I'm like, but why? Why would people do that? And then I realize I'm like, oh my God. And this is me. This is why I talk about the system. This is why I talk about unplugging. This is why I talk about the deep state and these like these very dark energies, which the majority of the working middle classes still deny. People don't want to own their shit because it means owning their fucking shit and coming alive and waking up. And those of us who have been on the journey, we know it ain't all cookies and rainbows, that it requires inner grit, that it requires a fucking depth of vulnerability that most of us are and have been programmed to be frightened of. Marianne Williams says it is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. It is our fear. It is not our something fear of inadequacy, it's our fear of being powerful beyond measure. And it's that power beyond measure that we're frightened of. And at the same time, this is something what you guys said, it's like it is all divine. We are teaching ourselves the path that we need to be on. We are fully invested in our own function, right? My MJ have taught me the most valuable. We should embrace the emotions, let them flow, right? Owning and processing our darkness. Thank you, John. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, had Marianne, right? And this is the thing, you guys. We have the light and the love and the spirituality and stuff moving into our physical reality. It's like for some of us, it's just been so hard. It's been such a suffering path. It's been such kind of long coming that, like, and this might, I don't know what. I guess I'm just aware of like the chaos and confusion, and that it's nice that we all can meet up here and be pretty clear and pretty calm and pretty okay about who we are and what we're creating, and not have to kind of keep chasing or keep running on that hamster wheel, simplicity and generosity. We create and pioneer and endeavor that vision of the new from within our heart. And so I choose to change the story. I choose to start telling the story that humans are benevolent, that humans are desiring a more generous and loving world, that dots are being connected, and that we are the way showers. And so whatever we're being asked to pioneer next, we just have to let go and have faith right now, because let's be honest, I don't think any of us are wanting to go back anywhere we've been from. If anything, I do feel, as much as all this spiritual mumbo jumbo can be pretty relentless, I do feel like we're getting somewhere here, right? Oh man, you guys. Normally I would be like crying my eyes out. Um, but sometimes I feel like I've literally cleansed as many emotions as possible. Oh, it is the full moon as well, isn't it? Um, and like have no emotion left, right? Exactly, Matthew. Oh my geez. So Matthew, and that was like an insight. I talk about the collective agreement in the book, in the Fearless Life Guide, as like, so we can either collectively agree this story, or we can collectively agree this story. And it's just so bizarre that we've been so programmed to like misery and negativity and tragedy. Be like, oh, this is as good as you're ridiculous. And I'm like, no, no, we're all ridiculous and we're all delusional. We just have to choose the delusion. Are we going to choose a delusion of fear and separation and like and like greedy golems as human species, or are we going to choose like the rising up and the pioneering of this golden beautiful civilization, right? Yeah. Don't put us back to sleep, right? Matthew, and this is what New Paradigm, All to Love TV, truly, 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 this is what the movement from within my heart is here for. It's that the paradise is in us, the beautiful earth realm that we all that's why it's so painful to watch this suffering and destruction, is because we feel into the potential and the disparity of the actual programmed hive mind is so far away from what our potential is. It's like, we feel the pain, we feel the separation. That's what the human collective pain body is that we're we're still choosing suffering basically, right? And so we more of us, just more of us, which great, well done us, we're here, right? We just need to choose to vision something different. And we need to start believing in one another. And this is part of us rising out of our shitty old past life patterns of persecution and da 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 da. I am aware for myself of like, I need to stop telling the story that people don't like me, because this last few years it's like all of the cycles of persecution and people hating on me and so oppressive, not even just like the hate, like the realization that people were actually smiling at my failure. People wanted me to fail and I was just like, and like I say that in a place of serenity and acceptance. Again, that's how narcissistic we've been trained to be. That's the system, the world that we all choose to buy into is against us in a way. And so to harmonize that, we find the love, right? I love you guys as well. um, you get that? You feeling that, Luna Bell, right? My precious, my precious. Right. I think that's it, you guys. Yes, you do. I know. And I again, you guys are here. I love you. Getting that email from one of you the other day was just like so freaking nice. No peace is ending. Yeah, exactly. The war cycles, the poverty consciousness, and essentially the construct of time and money. All of this stuff is ending as we move into new paradigm. Um, Hence, our ability to actually anchor into grounded centeredness and not just be reactive and all have to pretend like we know everything, because it is a continuous conversation. Thanks, Matthew. I actually really needed that. And that's a humbling, it's a humbling thing, as I just continue on the path, is like that. So I actually wrote a thing yesterday about I'm taking the win. I think I got again, the online entrepreneurial lifestyle, it's like getting those sales, right? And trusting and having faith that you're this heartfelt business, because people even said that to me. They're like, Melanie, you're not gonna be able to make money. And I'm like, you watch me. And then again, my endeavor for new paradigm business practice is that business is about giving back. Business isn't about invisible shareholders making the money and then using it to lord over you. I'm like, no, businesses should really uphold that same integrity to give back to the serve, you know? Hence, again, us outworking this narcissistic system from within our heart space, because the empath is pure. The empath, I've learned that more recently, and like it's legit. Like our empathic heart is like is I don't I don't want to say it, but I'm like it's saving the world. It's rising up. Our sensitivity and compassion is ultimately what is shifting the the plates, or enforcing that tidal turn. Us fixing and anchoring those love energies, and it's like what Sasha says in that interview of like, you must fix your point, and it's like a bullseye. I don't waver. The new paradigm is happening, right? This collective spiritual awakening is exactly fifth world. That's why we came, and we know it. And my gosh, we have come too far to go back into the pain, right? To go back into the suffering. Hey, Scrumshager Hansen, how are you? Oh, Tina, how are you? Big heart love vibrashe, you guys. So yeah, we're all, and like I appreciate, and you know, it is so funny because I for years and years and years, I don't know if you guys knew, like, so, and I guess this is the whole point of those of us who have been on this so-called manifestation path for a while, is like I knew about Jim Carrey having a check in his wallet when he was homeless, right? And so this is way back in the day when I was actually still endeavoring an acting career. But like I did that. So I, for years and years and years, had a check in my purse, check, like The Secret. In The Secret, it's a manifestation thing. But similarly, and I remember watching that Jim Carrey thing and him being like, "Oh yeah, I have a check for 10 mil, and it says on it for actors services rendered." And then I can remember writing myself my check for 10 mil. But I didn't want it to be conditional. So I didn't even say like work I had to do. I'm just like 10 mils for being myself. And so, hence all the lessons that I've learned over the last few years for pioneering the Ulta Love brand and movement has just been me having to refine my sense of self so that I can offer you guys the most genuine, authentic version of myself. And also, so I don't keep tripping myself up, because when you have a lot of unconscious ego programs running, you just end up tripping yourself up. And like, that's where I get the smackdown. I'm like, the ego smackdown is very useful in these times, because let's be honest, none of us like a big ego. So that's like my one of my bigger challenges in this life path is to just remain humble and grounded, and to just keep giving of self, because that's all there is, right? Exactly, Matthew. Nothing. So one of my good friends, he's coming to visit, he speaks of this as well, and this is what we're speaking of, about like maybe we'll get land, or maybe we can build a project, or da da da, because all of this spiritual chitter chatter just always loops back to the self. And we cannot teach one another, we cannot shine for one another, we can't be nothing for one another unless we're being true to who we are and living the example we wish to see. Hence the Ulta Love Be the Change course series is like, let's take action, let's show up for one another, but not from an energetic place of disconnection. And that's like the biggest piece as far as even our ability to resonate on this channel. We're pretty aware, connected humans for y'all to feel me and hear me. Because I'm aware of that. Like a lot of us have probably had situations in our lives where we're saying stuff and people just like skip out. They have cognitive dissonance because they can't intellectually, they haven't got the kind of they haven't basically developed their brain yet. They don't have the neuroplasticity to actually follow where we're going in our mindscape, right? So hence, in straight up, you guys, I don't need to put no pressure on any of y'all, but like at this point in my career, what's happening, or what certainly my intuition seems to be sort of showing me, is like the people, and that includes all of you guys, we are all to a certain degree leaders. We're all to a certain degree um, leading by example every day, sharing fifth world. Like we, most of us have our channels. Most of us are sharing and or engaging in a conversation on a certain level, right? Andrea, you don't know till you know. This, oh my, you don't know till you know. Straight up, straight up. And then I can remember saying that to a friend years ago when I was early 20s. I just had my awakenings, but I remember saying it, but I said it in a different syntax. I said, "You only know what you know." And I can remember the guy I was dating at the time, he was like, "Whoa, that's really profound." I'm like, "What? Really? Is it?" And hence here I am today, and here we all are, right? But like, you don't know till you know. And in essence, like we only know what we know. Hence this idea of self-compassion, self-love. And like just 2 days ago, we'd be like, I'm doing my best. Like we all have those total breaking points as far as like what is actually happening here, and how can we raise ourselves up, right, to enjoy life more, because there's a huge the system itself is unstable and totally crumbling, right? Yay! So you guys, yeah, unlocking the imagination is a huge piece to all this, and especially because at a young age, most of us get disconnected. We're slammed. We're told to cut it out. Sit down, shut up, and do what you're told. You don't use that imagination. Stop daydreaming. Get with the real program, right? So that is a huge, huge piece in our collective enslavement, right? OMG, right? Constant involvement. Hence why the weird aspect, okay, so there's like the visceral expanded knowing, which is the infinite intelligence of your entire vortexual field, body, intuition, senses, right? And yet what we don't want to get attached to is mental knowing as a construct, right? Because you can imagine, like, once you close off that bubble of knowing, it's limited. So our knowing comes from this like expanded sense of self, right? And then what we realize from that expanded self is that the mental capacity never stops evolving, right? Once we open up and fill up our entire field with greater love, i.e., acceptance that we all have emotions and we're all y- a work in progress, then the knowing can just be this constant evolution. Isn't it liberating, Andrea? Like, I gotta say, I'm, regardless of like whatever feedback you get from people, like, I'm just so pleased to be at this point where like I don't have to fucking know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know for you. I don't know. I don't have answers. Like, especially from that, because I spent 10 years, over 10 years, or no, not over 10 years. I spent a solid 10 years in the yoga and the well-being industry. And I gotta say, you guys, it gets fucking exhausting when everybody's coming up to you, telling you all their problems, talking to you like you're, I don't know, some doctor, miracle worker or something, and you're just thinking, you've got the answers, I don't. And yet we live in that disempowered framework where it's like, do you have the answers? Do you? That's, i.e., the hamster wheel of a culture, of a nation, of a globe of humans just like running on the hamster wheel, chasing their tails. Where the hell are we going, right? And that's us. People like us have essentially realized that, whoa, I'm just killing myself and I'm exhausted on the hamster wheel, so we jumped off. And we're just all bumbling around going, okay, what now? So we realize the hamster wheel weren't working no more. And we're realizing that there is an expanded aspect to us that is much better feeling and liberating in a mental scape, i.e., emancipates yourself from mental slavery. None but yourself can free your mind. It's like we are the ones unlocking this prison state. But if we get too wrapped up in what's going on out there, i.e., pretending to have all the answers for all the corruptions, then we're never going to get there, because that's the same mind that created all those issues in the first place. I.e., this person telling why it's not right for me to be doing what I'm doing, and I'm like, well, then what is? What else are we meant to be doing? I know. So my fifth world, like, straight up, girlfriend. One of the emails I got from somebody who got the spirituality simplified was just like, oh God. Like, and we're pretty, these are happy go lucky, good, well functioning in society, but they're like, thank God. Thank God I'm not alone. And thank God there's some different perspectives around all of this stuff, because a lot of the hive mind shit ain't working for people anymore, i.e., doing what we're told by people who are just regurgitating rhetoric that they read in a book, right? So what we're moving to, and I'm sure one of you, or I did a share, and then I noticed somebody else did a share about this, is like, we're moving beyond the construct of spirituality. We're moving beyond a constructed reality which enforces compartmentalization, because the main thing about our existence is enslavement. So everything else has to get boxed around the fact that we give and sell our time and energy for money to be able to live here. That's the essential construct which we're dissolving, we're clearing, we're letting go of that, so that we can move into an empowerment, regenesis, and creative flow. We become the creative beings that we are, rather than the enslaved machines that we were programmed to be, right? Totally, Matthew. I really feel that, and really working on that in my own life, hence living it, and sharing and talking to you guys about what's next level viz. Okay, we a lot of us are going to be guided to land straight up, and then the bioresonance of that vortexual reality of that land will guide us through. Next level healing for a lot of us is just being closer in nature, and then also like our next level healing is, I can feel it intuitively, it's like dropping in, there's a deeper layer of our ability to connect to the natural bioresonance of the earth's field, And then once we're able to drop into that, it's going to be like next wave of because we have to anchor in the energies to hold space for the next wave of awakening souls, because it's continuing, the chaos and confusion is continuing. But the more we anchor in, then get guided and get to our place, we actually have those zones and those spaces to heal from. Andrea, same. I actually have a feeling this is all part of it. Batshit crazy. Same. And like that's part of this month. Like the wobbles of past have been so intense to the point of persecution, of witch hunt, total. And yet I'm having to remind myself, no, 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 things are actually getting better. No, 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 you're still alive. No, 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 like there's love here. Fuck, there's love here. We're not crazy. We don't even, we've not, a lot of us haven't even had, personal meetings and conversations. And yet, how do we vibe and res like this? Because of the fucking energy that we're emitting, because of the examples that we're shining into our just our world, right? So the connection is the biofeedback resonance from the heart field, which is why there's such a clear, clean exchange, which is why I can honestly say I dig it. I would dig hanging out with probably the large majority of you because of the authenticity of how like how I share, right? And then that enables those resonant beings to show up. I couldn't see y'all before because I was still siphoning my own distortions, right? Yeah, fifth world for sure, for sure. I would say any of us who resonate with any level of diamond, with any level of that kind of clarity, we're just having to hold it, hold the like, and be aware the chaos and the confusion, but just be as diligent as we can with not feeding it, not buying into it, just saying, yep, I see you. Yes, I feel you. Yes, I honor you. I understand what you are, but I don't need to play that game anymore. Hence why we tune in here, why we meditate, what did I do yesterday? New moon, rather full moon yesterday. I'm up in my loft and I'm saging myself and I'm like meditating with my crystals and I'm writing down and then I'm burning up my intentions going, we're done. We're good. Like we know what we're doing. We know this game. Yeah, I felt so funny. You guys are so in alignment with me this morning, right? Like not pushing our beliefs so much. If anything, it's like a weird reversal of that, is that I'm aware of like my intentions and I'm aware of like thinking certain thoughts in alignment with certain aspects of my projection and vision. And yet it's so paradoxical, right? And in the same fucking breath, there's like this total surrender, this total relinquishing of like, okay, fine, I don't know, and I'm not even gonna pretend to know. I'm sharing with you guys pretty honestly, like, yeah, I'm being guided to land, and I have a vision of myself with like a man and like a couple of like building and pioneering this site. None of us have the money for it though, like, and I don't know how, but like in my last transformational cycle, I didn't know how I was going to survive that. I got to a point in my last transformational cycle, again, homeless, penniless, friendless, boyfriendless, like literally everything was taken from me. To the point that I, for months, was driving around without an MOT and without insurance on my car because I fucking couldn't afford it. And I was just literally like, and then a whole bunch of shit happened. And I kept sticking to my projection and eventually it happened. So it's the same thing here. However, relinquishing the mental grip, i.e., attachment to outcome, just trust, just have faith, right? Yeah, it's got to be more intuitive. Hence, any mental constriction, right? Because when you say pushing, that gives me that feeling, right? Of like forcing, controlling, like I know what's best. And that kind of feeling energy is something I've really been noodling with and playing with as far as like um so paradoxical and funny, this stuff, allowing and yet still committing and trusting and projecting my desire. So I'm still disciplining the mind for certain thought frequency recently learned this, or rather integrated. Yeah, 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 yeah. Because if we're still pushing, we're not living it, right? If we're and that's the classic thing of like more newly awakened people, or people who just find, hey, Reveille Records, or people who just find The Secret, or just get into Abraham Hicks, or just get into Law of Attraction. There's that weird righteousness of energetic, what you can feedback off of people is like the knowing. Like, I know all about this stuff, but none of it's integrated, and so we can almost, like, out of our own underlying distortion, try to fixate and try to tell people how to do, and tell people you should be doing this, and this is how it works, and da 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 da. But all of it comes from mental knowing, i.e., a limited aspect of self, rather than that broader allowing, right? No, I know, and I think this is the next freedom break that we're in right now as empaths, is that we're rising out of our people pleasing, and because we're realizing, like, you can't force this shit, it's totally divine. If people wanna wake up, they wake up. If they wanna change, they change. If they don't, they don't. But here's the thing, from the naive empath, it's not our job. So if we res with people, res. If we don't, we don't. We're not entangled or tied to other people's well-beings. We are here to serve our own, and that in that service, we can help others shine, and we can help others grow, and ultimately, little hint, hint, you guys, I gotta say, the truth and legit is that now that I've really stepped out of my old reality and chosen new energies, I'm attracting more empaths. Like, my business professional collaborations are way better, and oh my god, holy shit, the difference in working with other empaths versus working with narcissists is like, holy shit, I didn't think life could be so fun and easy. Wow, isn't it amazing to have somebody who's also kind of picking up on where there might be a little bit of a lack and stepping up to the plate to do it, rather than the narcissist who would constantly make me feel bad for not working hard enough and not being a good enough slave, for not pleasing them, right? So yeah. Thanks, Rowley. That's really nice. I know. I gotta say, it was part. So I got lighting. I invested. I had a bit of cash, and I invested some money into Ultra Love, including getting lights, because I mean, it makes my face like pop more shiny. And what else? Oh, and I got my new vlogging camera, which this is not it, but the content adds value, right? So the content for all of our online courses are filmed on like a Sony proper vlogger camera, better than this. So, um, all righty, love. So, it's been almost an hour, but I'm so glad, because in that hour I've met Matthew. Matthew, have you been here before? I don't recall your name, but really like the vibes. Revel, ooh, really? Thank you, Revelate. I shall. That is very potential. No, first time. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for being here. It's really nice to meet you. And everyone else, Andrea, you guys, like, I like, there's like a familiarity, Luna Bell, fifth world, like, John, of course, like, you guys, it's this, and I totally res with you guys. Like, I feel just as connected, if not more so, with this um constellation or congregation or like configuration of energies, and it's so aligned with the path that I've been on, and like the boost as far as support that I feel integrally myself and Ultra Love really needed. So honestly, words can't express the amount of like love, hot vibrate, and like gratitude that I feel for you guys. So basically, have a juicy day. Know that you are loved, and that we can do anything that we desire. I think we're moving into days and times where we just want to have it be in divine right action, which means that your genuinely heartfelt desire comes from the heart space, which is connected to the heart of humanity, which means we right action is just an obvious thing, because we wouldn't want to act out of accordance, because that would be a defamation of self. That would be a distortion of self. And so we move in that right action, because that is the golden age. These are the times that we're living in an evolved civilization, which understands the interconnectedness of all life and lives in biofeedback resonance with that integrity and the harmony. So that once and for all, we can uproot the corrupted motherboard of old paradigm values and belief systems, and continue this manifestation journey that we're on, in basically, by in essence, just creating paradise here, living the paradise, living the heaven on earth. Thine is the kingdom, um thine is the kingdom, the truth shall set you free, and the truth is within us all. So know the self, you guys, and then let's be the self so that we can shine the self back to our brothers and sisters on earth, and they'll be like, oh yeah, oh my god, of course, and we'll be like, yeah, remember. So there you go, you guys. 55 minutes. I love when these shares go on for a while. I'm just here to love and offer some compassion, because it's not necessarily obvious, black and white, straightforward, all this spiritual journeying stuff. At the same time, we're all already spiritual. We just have to reflect it back to one another, and be the change. Be the change. So guys, thank you so much for being here. I love you, and I really, really appreciate you. Again, words can't quite describe the amount of overflowing gratitude that I feel. I've got a friend coming to visit for a few days, and we're gonna be, and I've basically been like, can you help me film? It would be nice to have, because I worked with Katie, and then I did spiritual simplified, fairly solitary. So it's nice to have a bit of support for also vegan love, because there's a lot of interviews and a lot of kind of, I'm gonna film recipes and me doing vegan-y stuff. So um I'll be creating that, but mostly I just have a lot of love for you guys, and I appreciate you, and I'm so thankful for the subscribes, for the donations, um, and for the purchases as well. Some of you have bought Spirituality Simplified. One of you actually bought Zenful Zero Waste. So like this is all exciting, you know. It's not. It's like it's slowly, but like it's in alignment with my heart, and it's in integrity, and I'm just keeping the faith that all is well, and all is being shown and revealed to us in perfect divine timing. I love you guys. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see you tomorrow morning. Oh wait, oh no, you won't actually. Maybe you will. I'll try to go live on the road, but I'll be driving to the airport tomorrow. So get out. But just so you know, Matthew, or if you're new here, I do endeavor that a live share most mornings, unless I'm really guided not to, and or I'm traveling or busy. But mostly between these early hours in the UK, I'm live. So come on over to All to Love TV, and let's have a chat about being a decent human being. I love you guys. I'll speak to you real soon. Have a glorious day. And I look forward to speaking to you soon. Peace out.